Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a comment, and please think about subscribing. And hey, remember, watching just 30 seconds of an ad helps us creators more than you know. You're awesome. Have an amazing day. Let's begin.
I slept with my sister's husband, and now I'm pregnant. Original post. Throwaway account. User, ConfusedRec. Posted 2 weeks ago. I know I'm going to get torn apart for this. I deserve it. I'm not here for validation, I genuinely need advice because I feel like I'm drowning. I know some of you are reading this and thinking, well, she's asking for it. Honestly, I get it. I'm scum. I know that. Let's start from the beginning. My younger sister, Star, 28, is married to a man I introduced her to. His name is Quest, also 28. They've been married for 2 years now. Star and I have always been extremely close. She'd always been my best friend. I remember their wedding like it was yesterday. I was proud to stand beside her. I was the maid of honor, of course. It was the happiest day of her life. It was everything you would want for a wedding day. The decorations were adorned perfectly and the late afternoon sun poured through the stained glass windows, casting golden hues on the white marble of the church. I stood behind Star in the bridal suite, watching her reflection in the full-length mirror. She looked radiant, her dark curls pinned in soft waves, the delicate lace sleeves of her dress clinging to her shoulders like spun sugar. She was beaming, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy with emotion. "You look perfect," I whispered, my voice catching. She turned, clutching the bouquet of wildflowers she had picked that morning. "I'm so nervous. Do I look okay?" I laughed softly. "You look like every little girl's dream." She smiled and reached for my hand. "Thank you for introducing me to him. To Quest. You changed my life." That moment should have filled me with pride. Instead, a strange ache bloomed in my chest. Something unnameable. I think this is where the guilt started to creep in. During the rest of the day, I couldn't shake the gnawing in the pit of my stomach. I put on a fake happy mask so no one could see my inner turmoil, and the day went on without a hitch. Reddit, I don't know why now I decided to get a conscience. I had been sleeping with her husband for years by now. Maybe it was the vows or finality of it all. I don't know. But I did know this. I wasn't going to stop, and from the longing look Quest gave me after the wedding he wasn't ready to stop either. About a year later, they had a baby. A perfect little girl. I remember the day they sent me the photos from the hospital. Quest holding their daughter, beaming with pride. The little family in the photos looked perfect, like the ideal family everyone dreams of. Perfect couple, perfect wedding, perfect baby, perfect life. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Take it from me. Nothing is ever perfect. Okay, let's cover how the affair began. Maybe I can get a little bit of sympathy here. Who amongst us hasn't been gripped by temptation at one point or another? It started with sweat and steel. It was a Wednesday night. I was working out at my local gym. The place was nearly empty at 2 a.m., just the hum of treadmills, the clink of metal, and the soft hiss of air conditioning. I was toweling off after deadlifts, heart still pounding, when I saw him. Quest, leaning against the front desk, shaking his protein shaker. Quick side note, Quest and Star had been dating for about a year at this point. Quest and I had become even closer as friends during this time, but there was also a subtle attraction that grew during this period as well. He caught my eye. "Hey night owl," he called out. I smirked, tossing my towel over my shoulder. "Could say the same about you." We talked, absently, harmlessly. About work, gym goals, music. But something shifted. A joke made in jest came out as an intimate innuendo. Then came the pause. A longer than usual glance. His eyes dipped to my collarbone, lingered. The silence between words thickened like honey. "I should probably hit the showers," I said, voice too soft. He stepped closer. "Yeah. I should. Get going too." But we didn't move. Then suddenly, his lips were on mine. Urgent. Wrong. But also right. He tasted like sweat and mint gum, like danger and familiarity. The back of my mind screamed no, but my body leaned in. When we finally broke apart, breathless, he looked terrified. We can't. We shouldn't, I murmured. He nodded slowly. I know. But neither of us stopped. I don't know if it was the after-workout adrenaline, released pheromones, the barely their workout clothes we both had on. Whatever occurred during that innocent encounter was the crack that broke the dam. It was never supposed to be more than once. But it spiraled. Texts at odd hours, excuses to run errands near each other. I started memorizing which gym hours were quietest. We met behind buildings, in the back of his car, in hotels under fake names. There was something addictive in the danger. Every time he brushed my arm, I felt like I was on fire. Every whispered just this once turned into dozens more. Our language became one of coded glances and burning touches. But it wasn't all blissful indulgence. Sometimes, it was nerve-wracking and terrifying. Like the time we almost got caught. We were at the gym again. Our favorite place to rendezvous. The parking lot was bathed in sickly yellow light, mostly empty save for a few scattered cars. Our windows fogged as we kissed, hands greedy and movements clumsy. The console dug into my thigh, but I didn't care. Then. A sound. Heavy footsteps. I froze. My heart stopped. Shush, I hissed, breath ragged. We both ducked instinctively. My eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. A shadow passed slowly behind us, just feet away. What if it's her? I whispered, barely audible. He was pale. His hand gripped the wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. It's not. It's fine. The footsteps faded. We exhaled. That was stupid, I muttered, pushing him off. We need to cool things off. I know, he said, but his voice was distant. Then, softer. But not tonight. He reached back out for me again. I pulled away slightly. He sighed in annoyance. She doesn't know Victoria, he said flatly. Of course not, I replied, tracing patterns on his chest. She thinks I'm picking up diapers right now. His words hung in the air. The silence and sleazy implication of his statement was suffocating. I definitely wasn't feeling in the mood anymore. We wrapped up things that night and went our separate ways. Now let's talk about the consequences. About 3 weeks ago. I had been feeling off. I had unusual nausea, my appetite was wonky, I was extremely lethargic, and the most alarming and telling symptom. I had missed my cycle. I was in denial of the obvious. There was no way I was. Nope. I didn't even want to think it. To prove to myself how ridiculous I was being, I hopped on a delivery app and ordered a pregnancy test. When it arrived I didn't procrastinate. I went to take it right away. And then I waited. When the time expired, I hesitated. The bathroom was silent except for the tick of the wall clock and the low hum of the extractor fan. The pregnancy test sat on the counter, face down. I couldn't bring myself to look. But I already knew. My stomach churned. I stared at my reflection, eyes wide, lips trembling. I picked it up. 2 lines. Shit, I whispered. My knees buckled. I slid to the floor, hugging my arms to my chest. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. I had an IUD. This wasn't possible. But it was happening. Quest has been the only man I have been with in the last 6 months. I knew it was his. So many questions ran through my head. Should I keep it? Of course. What will Quest think? What about my sister? What the hell happens next? I kept begging over and over, please give me the instructions to this mess I created. I picked myself off the ground and walked to my bed to grab my phone. I may not have had all the answers just yet, but I could get an answer to one of the most pressing questions right now. I unlocked my phone and sent a quick text to Quest, asking him to meet me. We met in his car, parked behind a gas station. I told him straight out. He blinked like he hadn't heard me. What? I'm pregnant, Quest. He gripped the steering wheel. No. You. No. You need to get rid of it. My breath hitched. I'm not going to do that. He turned sharply to face me. You can't keep it. You'll destroy everything. Star, the baby, my whole life. My voice was barely a whisper. I'm not asking for anything. I needed you to know. His silence said more than words ever could. I don't know what you want me to say, Victoria. This isn't what I want. I love Star. I want Star and my family. What we have is base. What the hell? You said you were protected. Were you trying to trap me? Of course not. The IUD, it must have failed. Look, this isn't you need to step up and take care of this baby conversation. I just thought you should know out of everyone. Yeah, right. He ran his hands through his hair. A habit he always did when he was stressed. So what are you going to do? I don't know exactly, I answered honestly. Quest sighed deeply. Well, I have somewhere I need to be. He reached forward and started his car. What? I snapped. The sudden switch in the conversation catching me off guard. I tell you I'm pregnant with your child and you suddenly need to be somewhere else? Look, you knew what this was. You're letting hormones talk right now. You need to get out of my car. Whatever we had is over. I need to get home to my wife. He made sure to emphasize the word wife. He averted his eyes and looked straight ahead. I scoffed. This is the same man that blew off his wife's birthday to spend the day in my bed, trying out the positions his buddies at work told him about. Right, okay. Tell her I said hi. We both knew he wouldn't. I opened the door and got out. Not even a second after I closed the door he was pulling off. I won't lie, I was hurt. I wasn't in love with Quest, but I thought we had something deeper. I never expected to be discarded so coldly. Weeks went by. I hadn't heard from Quest and honestly that was fine. My sister had been trying to get a hold of me but I had been ignoring her. Every day I grappled with the decision to tell her or not. There were more pros in lying than the truth. I'd been thinking of maybe going away, starting fresh somewhere else, where I can have this baby on my own terms. Being in the vicinity of Star may never be comfortable again. And as for my relationship with Quest, even now, I crave his embrace. How will I just go from his treasured mistress to just a tolerated sister-in-law? Wow, there's something wrong with me. I decided I needed to talk to someone about this. Me, myself, and I, were driving me crazy. I needed another perspective. One day, I called up a good friend and co-worker of mine and asked if she could meet me for lunch. The cafe was half empty, early sunlight slanting through the windows and casting long shadows across our table. Julie stirred her latte absent-mindedly, watching me over the rim of her glasses. She'd always been able to read me too well. You've been acting weird for weeks. Spill it. My throat tightened. I hadn't planned to say it like this. But I couldn't carry it alone anymore. I set my mug down and took a shaky breath. I'm pregnant. Julie blinked. What? I nodded, eyes burning. It's Quest's. Her jaw dropped. She leaned forward, voice lowered but intense. Star's Quest? I nodded again, unable to say anything more. My hands were shaking. Julie reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Oh my God. Oh, honey. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I need help, and I couldn't think of anyone else to call. You've always been so level-headed. I just need someone by my side. My throat clogged with tears. I could barely get the words out. I know, she said gently. Let's figure this out, okay? You're not doing this alone. That afternoon, she drove me to the clinic. The waiting room was sterile and humming with quiet dread. We sat side by side, her hand never leaving mine. When the technician turned the screen, I saw it. A flickering blur, impossibly small on the monitor. There's the heartbeat, she said softly. Something inside me cracked. I pressed my hand to my mouth. Julie squeezed my shoulder. You're really doing this? I nodded. Yeah. I think I am. After seeing that heartbeat, I felt a newfound sense of purpose and drive. Enough of the tears and enough procrastinating. The longer I waited, the more I would start to show. The only emotion I could not quite wrangle was guilt, but for the time being, I was at least able to stifle it. Together with Julie, we brainstormed. My first option. I could tell the truth and by default ruin many lives. I immediately scratched that. Call me a coward, but I could hardly think of a benefit. My second option. I could just tell everyone the baby was a result of a one-night stand. But then there was Quest. I wasn't certain that our affair was really over and I knew it needed to be. My third option. I could leave and start fresh someplace else. I could still claim a one-night stand as my baby's father, or maybe I can start a genuine relationship with someone. My job was work from home and I could easily transfer to another branch. I would be away from my sister, which would hurt, but I don't think I deserve her anymore. Most importantly, I would be away from Quest. Julie left me that night to make the final decision. And that is my story, Reddit. I don't know what to do. I could really use some advice. Feel free to be as blunt as you like. I need a reality check. Top Reddit comments. User, bitter but true. Girl, you knew what you were doing. You introduced your sister to him and still slept with him. You don't get to cry victim now that it's blowing up. Actions have consequences. User, sad potato girl. I'm not going to lie, this made my stomach turn. But I also feel like Quest is a massive piece of trash too. He had a wife and child and still kept cheating. You both messed up. I hope you do right by your kid now. User, throw away just saying. You're not scum. You're a human who made some really terrible choices. It doesn't excuse anything, but beating yourself up forever won't undo it. Focus on how you're going to make things right moving forward, especially for the baby. User, CatHero89. Be honest. End it with Quest. Brace for consequences. Prioritize the baby. Get therapy. User, Gemini Storm. Option 1, tell Star and eat the consequences. Option 2, lie, get exposed, and double the disaster. Your choice, champ. Update. Hey everyone, it's been a while since I last updated, and honestly, things have been a roller coaster. But in some ways, I've managed to create a little space for myself, even though it's not the perfect or ideal situation. So, after a lot of thinking and talking to Julie, I made the decision to leave town. Not far, just a couple of cities over. About 2 hours from Star. I knew I couldn't keep living where I was, not after everything that happened with my old life. I packed up what I could and moved a couple of weeks ago. It's a small town, quieter, and I thought the change of scenery might help me find some peace. The apartment I found is nice, clean, modern, and just far enough away from the noise of everything that I can breathe a little easier. It's got big windows that let in so much natural light, and the view is simple, but it helps calm my mind. I love it here. I can finally breathe without the weight of everything from before pushing down on me. Best part. No one knows me. I can be whoever I want here. We can be whoever we want. I'm not just Victoria, home-wrecking sister carrying her siblings, stepchild and nephew. Julie, as usual, has been such a lifesaver. She helped me with the move, pulled some strings at work and sped up my transfer. I don't know what I would have done without her. Now, this is where things get complicated. I met a man. Thomas. Soon after I moved in. He's a nice guy, not perfect, but kind and genuinely sweet. We started talking at work, and things moved faster than I thought. I know I should have slowed things down, but everything about him just felt comforting. I liked how easy it was to talk to him. He listens, he makes me laugh, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like someone actually saw me, all of me, not just my body. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly, but after a week, we were already hanging out more, texting nonstop, and before I knew it, we were spending almost every day together. And now, here's the part that makes me feel like a terrible person. So, a few weeks into our relationship, Thomas started to get more serious, asking about the baby. He's been incredibly supportive, always offering to help, and he's been excited about the idea of becoming a father. And I let him believe that the baby is his. I let him believe I wasn't as far along as I really was, which was 2 months. I know how messed up that is. I feel horrible every time I look at him, but the truth is, I didn't know how to tell him. And now, I've dug myself into this hole where he's already talking about names and making future plans. He's already imagining the 3 of us together, and I can see how much he cares. I know it's wrong to keep this secret from him, but every time I think about coming clean, my stomach twists in knots. He's been so kind, so sweet, and I don't want to hurt him. I'm not proud of this, not at all. I know it's a terrible thing to do, and I know I'm going to have to tell him the truth eventually. I'm just not ready. I'm terrified of how he'll react. I need him right now, and so does the baby. I've never been great at letting people in, and now, I've let someone in too far and built this illusion that I know is going to come crashing down sooner or later. Or who knows, maybe it never will come out. For now, though, I've just been trying to get through each day. Of course I feel guilty about it all the time, about lying to Thomas, about letting him get so attached, but in some twisted way, it's been comforting to have him around. I know it's a mess, and I'm just hoping that if the truth comes out, he'll understand. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to settle in, trying to build a life here, but at the same time, I'm carrying around this weight of lies that I don't know how to fix. I'll update again when I feel ready to face what's coming, but for now, this is what I've got. Final update. So, the baby is here. It's a boy. I can't believe I'm even writing this. The past few months have been a blur, and I don't think I've had a moment to fully process everything that's happened. But the baby. He's beautiful. Thomas has been absolutely incredible, he's everything I could have hoped for in a partner, and he's been so excited about becoming a dad. He's been there for every little thing, making sure I'm comfortable, helping out with everything. I can't deny that he's been a great guy to have around, and it feels good to have that kind of support. In case you're wondering about how Thomas wasn't suspicious about the gestation timeline. Well, I told him the doctor suggested an earlier delivery date due to my severe diabetes. But here's where things start to get complicated. With the baby here, I couldn't ignore the fact that it was time to reach out to my sister. I knew I had to eventually, especially since things were getting more serious with Thomas. I felt there was no need to hide away anymore. When I left, I simply told her that I was going through some things and that I needed space and time to process them and be comfortable with myself again. She was devastated, but she respected my decision. So, I contacted Star, and to my surprise, she was ecstatic about meeting the baby. She said she'd come to visit for the birth, and that's when things started to get a little tense. She arrived with Quest. I wasn't sure what to expect. Star was excited, but Quest, well, it was obvious he wasn't. He seemed uncomfortable the whole time. His eyes were darting around the room, never staying too long on any one thing, and I couldn't help but notice how guarded he was, especially when he first saw the baby. It was like he didn't quite know how to react, but when he saw Thomas holding him, he seemed to settle. The tension in his body loosened just a bit. It was almost like he was trying to find his place in this strange new world I'd built. As the visit went on, I could see him gazing at the baby longingly. It was so quick that no one else would have noticed, just a brief look, like he was imagining a life that could have been. But as soon as Star looked in his direction, Quest masked it, putting up that wall he's always had, and my heart skipped a beat. There was something in his eyes that I hadn't seen in a long time. Something that stirred up all the old feelings I tried so hard to bury. And then, our eyes locked. For a split second, it was like the world stopped. Everything went silent, and I swear, I could feel the pull between us, like it had never left. The hunger, the ache that had been there before. The forbidden nature of it all was still so strong, like a magnetic force that had never really faded. I knew it in that moment, whatever we had, whatever we were, it wasn't finished. It had been lying dormant, but it was still there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to come back. I wanted to look away. I wanted to tell myself that it didn't matter, that I had a new life now. But the truth is, I didn't know what to do with that longing. The ache didn't go away. It never really did. And I knew, in the pit of my stomach, that things between Quest and me would eventually pick back up. I didn't know how or when, but I could feel it. That connection, that dangerous attraction, it was still there, and I couldn't escape it. For now though, I'm trying to focus on the new life I'm building with Thomas. He's good to me. He's good to the baby. He's everything I need in a partner right now. And I know that deep down, I should be grateful for that. I should embrace the family we're becoming, and I am. I'm trying. But part of me can't help but feel like the story isn't finished yet. So, here I am, caught between two worlds. One of a new family and a fresh start with Thomas, and the other, a forbidden connection with someone I've tried to forget, but I'm going to be just fine. I'm done letting guilt and fear control me. I made my choices, and I'll deal with the fallout on my terms, not anyone else's. You can talk, you can judge, but you don't get to decide who I become after this. That decision is mine alone. For those of you rooting for me, wish me luck. Goodbye Reddit.